Peace to everyone, and welcome to our channel. Imagine standing before the door to everything you've ever hoped for. Peace, purpose, a connection with the divine, only to find someone standing in the gap, holding the key and refusing to let you in. In Matthew 23:13, Jesus levels his first woe at the scribes and Pharisees for doing exactly this. They didn't just reject the kingdom of heaven for themselves, they shut it in people's faces. They turned a relationship with God into an impossible obstacle course of 613 laws. To the Pharisees, holiness was a status symbol. By making the rules so complex, they ensured only the elite, those with the time and money to study, could be considered righteous. This turned God's house into a private club. The significance here is the shift from grace to bureaucracy. When religion becomes about the how instead of the who, the door gets locked. Today we see this in cancel culture and gatekeeping. Whether it's in our churches, our social circles, or our political tribes, we often set the bar for entry so high that no one can meet it. We demand perfection before we offer belonging. Are we opening doors for people to grow? Or are we standing at the entrance with a clipboard, looking for reasons to keep them out? Who are you making it harder for to find God? Are you a bridge or a barrier today? Religion is often used as a shield, but in Woe number 2, Jesus exposes it being used as a weapon. He calls out those who devour widows' houses while making long, flowery prayers for show. The reason for this woe is simple: cruelty masked by piety. They used their holy reputation to gain legal and financial control over the most vulnerable members of society. In the ancient world, widows had no legal standing. They relied on religious leaders to be their advocates. Instead, some leaders used that trust to siphon off what little inheritance these women had left. This woe marks the moment Jesus declares that God is more interested in how you treat the least of these than how impressive your public prayers sound. A long prayer doesn't cancel out a short change. We see this today in the prosperity gospel and the influencer economy. It's the celebrity leader who asks for seeds of faith from people who can't pay their rent. It's the corporation that brands itself as charitable while underpaying its staff. If our success is built on the backs of those we are supposed to protect, we aren't leaders. We're predators. True faith doesn't take, it serves. Does your lifestyle cost someone else their peace? How can you use your influence to protect instead of profit? Have you ever dealt with someone who followed the letter of the law but completely violated the spirit of it? In Woe number 3, Jesus calls the Pharisees blind guides. They had developed a complex system of oaths. If you swore by the temple, it meant nothing. But if you swore by the gold in the temple, you were bound. It was a game of spiritual fingers crossed behind the back. By valuing the gold over the temple, they were valuing the gift over the presence. They were teaching people how to be dishonest while sounding religious. Jesus' point was radical. Your yes should be yes, and your no should be no. If you need a loophole to make your word credible, your character is already compromised. In our society, we are obsessed with the spin. We look for the technicality that lets us keep our reputation while breaking our promise. We see it in politics, in terms and conditions, and in our personal relationships when we say, "I never technically said that." But a life built on technicalities is a life without a soul. Are we people of our word or just people of the fine print? If your life had no fine print, would people still trust your word? What technicality are you hiding behind right now? Jesus uses one of his most famous and funniest metaphors here. straining a tiny gnat out of a drink but swallowing a whole camel. The Pharisees were so holy that they would tithe 10% of their tiny kitchen spices, mint, dill, and cumin. But they were ignoring the weightier matters of the law: justice, mercy, and faithfulness. This wasn't an attack on tithing. Jesus told them they should have done those things. The problem was the proportion. They obsessed over the microscopic details they could control to feel superior, while ignoring the massive, difficult work of actual love and social justice. They chose the easy ritual over the hard heart work. We are the kings and queens of straining gnats. We will spend hours arguing about a specific word choice or a minor social faux pas on the internet, while completely ignoring the camels of systemic poverty, loneliness, or our own lack of mercy. We love the small battles because they make us feel right without costing us anything. Are we tithing our spices while our neighbor's house is on fire? Are you winning small arguments while losing the battle for your soul? What's the camel you're ignoring today? Most of us wouldn't dream of drinking from a glass that was scrubbed on the outside but caked with mud on the inside. Yet, Jesus says this is exactly how the scribes and Pharisees lived. They were obsessed with ritual purity, the external washings, while their inner lives were full of greed and self-indulgence. They mistook looking clean for being clean. In Jewish law, ritual washing was a big deal. But Jesus points out a logical fallacy. What goes into a person doesn't defile them as much as what comes out of the heart. The significance here is a total shift in focus. Holiness isn't a performance you put on for the public. It's a private reality. If the source, the heart, is dirty, the polished exterior is just a lie. We live in the era of the curated self. We polish our LinkedIn profiles, our Instagram feeds, and our public reputations until they sparkle. We want the world to see the clean cup. But behind the filter, are we struggling with envy, hidden addictions, or a lack of character? True health starts from the inside out. Stop scrubbing the glass and start looking at what's filling it. If people could see your private browser history or your unspoken thoughts, would they still recognize the person they see on Sundays? Jesus takes the dirty cup metaphor even further here. He compares the leaders to whitewashed tombs. In that day, tombs were painted white so people wouldn't accidentally touch them and become unclean. They looked beautiful, even bright. But inside, they were full of dead men's bones and everything unclean. It's the ultimate contrast, the beauty of art versus the reality of death. This is the harshest of the woes. Jesus is saying that legalism doesn't just make you a hypocrite, it makes you spiritually dead. You can follow every rule, wear the right clothes, and say the right prayers. But if there is no love, there is no life. A beautiful tomb is still a place of death. We see whitewashed tombs in institutions that prioritize their brand over the safety of their people. We see it in ourselves when we prioritize niceness over kindness. Being nice is the white paint. Being kind is the life inside. Are we more worried about the stench of our sins being found out, or about actually being made alive? Is your goodness a performance or a pulse? Are you maintaining a reputation, or are you actually alive? It's easy to honor a prophet who's been gone for centuries. They can't confront our habits or expose our personal compromises. By constructing these tombs, the Pharisees weren't embracing the prophet's words. They were borrowing their reputation. They celebrated the legacy while rejecting the message. They admired the past, yet resisted the truth standing right in front of them. We're drawn to safe heroes. Quoting voices from the past lets us feel aligned with justice without risking anything ourselves. But if those same voices showed up today, challenging our comfort, our systems, our silence, would we welcome them? Or would we push them aside? Don't just memorialize yesterday's truth. Embody today's. If a prophet spoke an uncomfortable truth to you today, would you build them a monument or a cross? Thank you for watching. It is all about Jesus. Follow and subscribe for more.